Hi, I'm Hannah.
And I'm Myron.
We've been living full-time in our self-built Sprinter van in Europe for the last 2 years. If you've watched our videos before, you might be wondering where we've been. Our videos have been a little all over the place. After an amazing summer in Scandinavia last year, we went back to the UK for our next project, a new van build, but this time for my mum. She planned to spend a year travelling with us. Soon after finishing her van, Myron and I realised we were getting really low on money, so he stayed back in the UK to work for a couple of months while Mum and I headed off to Europe. And that brings us to today, March 2020. A lot is going on in the world, so let's catch up. So that brings us to today. It is, what's the date? My mind's a little all over the place. It's the 22nd of March 2020 and coronavirus COVID-19 has hit the world like crazy.
Full swing. Yeah, countries are being locked down. It's a crazy
scary
time.
So Mum and I were heading to Greece to pick up my little sister who was coming over for a couple of months. We got as far as Romania, so we were almost there, and coronavirus started to feel really scary.
And I was back in the UK. I was manufacturing kitchens for the big restaurants like Nando's, Five Guys, those kind of big restaurant chains in the UK. And then with COVID, they said no more restaurants are going to be built in the next year. So they cancelled all orders and I was made redundant. The whole company took quite a bit of a hit. Everyone was down in hours as well. But straight away, anyone that was working there for less than 6 months, straight away redundancy because they can legally do that, and with only 1 week's pay.
Yeah, and they like escorted him off the premises.
Yeah.
Well, like everyone, not just Myron.
It was very movie-like. Like, we had
Yeah.
a separate the company had 2 meetings. We had a meeting in the boardroom, and it was very much afterwards like escorted out of the building, take your key card. Yeah.
And it was kind of like the worst possible time for us. Like, Myron had been working in the UK for about 6 weeks. So it wasn't like long enough to have made much of a difference to our finances. But then also it had been so long that Mum and I were so far ahead in our trip that it didn't make sense for Myron to then come and catch up with us, because we were then coming back early May for my sister to fly home and to go to Camp Quirky. So it was just like a really annoying time.
Yeah.
And we really wanted to travel this summer. So that kind of was like where we were. That was like, what, just over a week ago?
Yeah.
And then kind of I was starting to get more and more nervous about being in Europe with COVID-19 hitting, like just kind of being in any country that's not our home country, or even the UK, which we're more familiar with. And we have, you know, visas to be here, so we know like we have the right, and we've paid for a right to the healthcare. You know, we don't have to rely on health insurance here like we do in those other countries.
Yeah.
And we were also, me, Mum and my sister Izzy, we were going to be going to countries we'd never been to before in Europe, but out of the EU. So I was getting a bit nervous about those countries because we didn't know what they were like. Yeah, so we were starting to get nervous. And then I got a text from a friend, and Mum got a text from a friend, like within the space of an hour, being like, Romania's closing its borders with Hungary, Hungary's closing its borders with Austria, like Germany's going to be closing its borders soon.
Spain had already closed a little bit, I think.
I think it started shutting down. I don't think borders were shut, but like restaurants and stuff had started shutting down.
Yeah, Italy was all locked down.
Italy had been in lockdown for weeks, and we were like, oh my goodness, like borders closing, like what if we get down to Greece to get my sister and then we can't leave Greece?
In a country for
a country you don't know, you don't speak the language. My sister was only coming here for 6 weeks. She has a job to go back to. Mum only had a set like amount of savings for her year away. If we got stuck in Greece for months, plus like we only are allowed 90 days in the Schengen zone, which if you're from New Zealand, Australia or America or other countries, you'll be familiar with that. If you're from the UK, you'll be familiar with it soon because of Brexit. Good voting, guys. So we're only allowed to be in most of Europe for 90 out of every 180 days. So we were like, if we get stuck in this country, like, we're screwed. So this was like a week, 2 days ago now. So the worries I'm saying kind of probably sound trivial compared to now. Like, oh no, we might run out of money, we're going to get stuck, but we'll be on like a Greek beach, whatever. Today we don't feel like that. Today we're much more worried about everything. We're worried about our health. We're worried about everyone else's health. But then it still felt like I was overreacting a bit.
Yeah.
So Mum and I made the decision to, it was Friday night. We were going to be getting up at like 6 o'clock the next morning to drive to Bulgaria to then make it to Greece the following day. And we made the decision we're actually not going to keep going south. My sister needs to cancel her trip and we are going to drive back to the UK. Which was like, it sucked. And like, no offense to the UK, it's a beautiful country, but we've all spent a lot of time here.
The other countries feel a bit more exciting, and so we kind of wanted us to go.
Yeah. But we made the decision, the safest thing was for me and Mum to get back to the UK and then for Mum to sell her van and get going, which sucked because she had only been in her van a couple of months. Like, we've spent longer building her van than being in her van, which really sucked.
It was a lot of hard work just to kind of
get the trip going.
Yeah, get it going and then turn around, come back and sell it.
Yeah, but then we drove from Romania to Calais in 3 days, which was 2,500 kilometers. It was mental. And I don't drive. Mum had to do all the driving, which, I mean, she's amazing. I can't believe she did that. She asked for a lot of breaks and I didn't let her.
You're the worst co-driver. You're the worst co-driver.
I mean, I did, but like, she wanted to like stop and I'm like, no, every like extra 200 kilometers we do each day like cuts off a whole day after a few days. I was like, we gotta keep going. I think our biggest day was like 950 kilometers. Like, it was mental. Yes, and then as we were driving, like, borders just kept closing. It was like we just kept missing each border that closed.
Yeah, you only got into Germany. I think they were closing the border
we
like
drove
8 a.m.
Yeah, we drove through Germany.
Got through that night.
And we could see, we drove into Germany and we could see like the police setting up tents and marquees, and one border had like 20 police cars at it. It was like, it was scary. It was like a war scene off a movie, or like when you see on the movies where they like just shut the whole town down and the military puts like a quarantine around it and they like don't care about you anymore and just leave you all in one little town to die.
Yeah.
That's kind of what it made me think of. So we were like, okay, we made the right decision. I said to Myron before, I feel like through this whole process, my thought is like, I'll have these thoughts and I go, oh my gosh, Hannah, you are overreacting. Like, come on, it is not that bad. And then I'll have another thought and I'm like, you're underreacting. And I just split between overreacting and underreacting, and I don't know what to think. But I think at seeing the borders closed kind of showed us we'd made the right decision, but then also probably made me and Mum more anxious than Myron, because Myron was staying with our friend Jen, and like,
and the UK had it quite blasé, like, it's gonna be fine, don't worry, keep going about your normal
we
day.
want you all to get sick so we can get herd immunity.
Yeah, where like Italy's reaction was very different. So it was like, is Italy overreacting? Is UK underreacting? Yeah. But now that we've seen it, the UK completely underreacted. We got into Belgium and we wanted to keep going to France, but there's not really many places to stay near Calais where the ferry is. And so we're like, we'll stop in Belgium. We're like an hour from the ferry. We will spend the night here and go in the morning. So what we did was we like emptied stuff, filled it with water, and then we got into our pajamas, had dinner, like made the van a mess, set up for the night. And then we got another message from our friends, and he was like, they're shutting the French borders. And literally like the next day they were shutting the borders. And the thing is with these border closures, like people are still getting back into the UK from France, but they've shut the borders to people who aren't EU nationals or UK nationals. We're not. Yeah. Like, we would have been stuck in whatever country we would have been in, and we're not a national of anything around here. So we were like, oh no, we're in Belgium, like we've set up for the night, we might not get back into the UK tomorrow. So we quickly packed everything up and sped through, even after already doing like 900 kilometers that day, and made it to the ferry. And I just went in and was like, I took it, I just said, took it. And anytime ferry,
just get me on. And then we made it back to the UK, and kind of like as we were driving and once we got back, like we'd been talking about what our options were, and we had a big decision to make.
So we kind of had three options. The first option was for me to try and find another job in the UK. Hannah works remotely. My skills don't quite tend to lead so well into online work. It is springtime now, and if I work for another 3 or so months, it would be like into summer.
So we didn't, if Myron found another job, we didn't want him getting like a 6-month contract or a year-long contract.
And then working all through summer and then...
Yeah, winter again.
Yeah, that
Yay.
would be great.
I feel like we've had 100 winters in Europe.
And by the time we found that job, a month could have gone by, kind of thing, and then...
Exactly,
yeah.
and really, like, who else is employing this time? Like, he looked at jobs, but there were no options there, and any jobs that were being advertised had been up for like 5-6 weeks, so you just knew they were old jobs.
Just recruiters just leave them up there for ages.
So there literally were no jobs. So then that led us on to our next option.
Our next option was to make the most of spring and summer and just continue travelling. Yeah, do it a bit cheaply and try and hopefully get us to winter, and then we'd get another job there, work for longer there, and then kind of save back some money that we'd spent through the summer.
But borders are closing, so we couldn't really do that. We thought we could just wait here for a couple of months and then go back to Europe in summer if hopefully things open again. But then it's like, well, if we're just sitting in England, like, Myron may as well work, but then there were no jobs, so it was just like round and round in a circle. And we're like, this doesn't feel like a good option either.
It kind of led us to the third option of go home. With no money in the UK, no job, New Zealand government urging citizens to come back home and to isolate.
Yeah, our final option we could think of. And I work remotely, and so I could take my job home. Myron can just get a job at home. That was kind of the option that started to make the most sense for us. But the problem with that, like I said, I have a job here that I love. So if I couldn't work remotely from the other side of the world, that wouldn't really be a good option in my mind. Plus, we love our van. Like, we built this home, we've lived in it for almost 2 years now, and we absolutely love it. We love being on the road, we love this little place we built, and we're not done with Europe. We really, really didn't want to leave. Like, we're having the time of our lives.
Yeah,
and
want to have another summer at the beach in Greece.
Yeah, I mean, 5 more summers would have been lovely, but we at least wanted 1 more summer. We always knew we'd go home one day. Like, always. Like, we're New Zealanders, we love our country and we love our family, and when it comes time to have kids, we want to do that with our families around us. So we always knew we'd go home one day, but we didn't want to go home yet.
This soon, no.
Definitely not. But borders are closing. We are very close to running out of money. Like, my salary covers kind of our like general living, but we have nothing extra if we go out of budget, or if we need to pay anything, or we own a home back home, so if anything goes wrong we need to fix it for our tenants. Like, yeah, we're running out of money. Well, we've run out of money. And
options are running out on how to earn money. So the whole world's really in an economic slump, and so our government was like literally emailing us, because we're like registered to say we're overseas, telling us to come home, saying if you do not get a flight in the next week or so, flights will stop for months. And that's pretty scary for your government to tell you. So our decision was kind of made for us, and we decided to go home, which we're pretty sad about. But it just kind of made sense. We always knew we'd go home one day. It was coming.
It was coming eventually.
It was just coronavirus just moved that forward a bit.
Yeah. And going home means Myron can get a more permanent job. We are around our family and friends. We have somewhere to live.
We have been missing home a lot too.
We've been missing home. We have.
We haven't been back in
4 years. Yeah. So it's been a long time. Jinx. We forgot to mention earlier, actually, being in a camper van in a country that's foreign for us, without family around us, actually started making us feel very vulnerable. Campsites all around us are closing, and if we don't have anywhere to empty our toilet or get water, we're kind of screwed. And it would be different if, you know, my mum was in a house here, or Myron's mum was, or siblings, or, you know, we have friends, but, you know, you can't always like ask so much of friends, especially if they're self-isolating and dealing with their own stuff. So we felt just the need to be around family, and like we said earlier, our government is urging us to come home, so it just made the most sense. We're actually going home tomorrow. We only booked our tickets a couple of days ago. Like I said, just over a week ago, Mum and I were in Romania and Myron had a job.
A week and 3 days ago.
So weird how life can change so quickly. Coronavirus is just affecting so many people's lives, and like pretty annoyed and pretty upset. And I think everyone has a right to be upset no matter like how much it affects them, but we're also pretty positive about our life change. Feel pretty blessed that like it's not affecting us as much as other people. You know, Myron lost his job, but I still have a job, and you know, don't have much money right now, we don't have much savings, but we have family we can live with. So we're feeling pretty lucky, and feeling lucky that we made the decision to get out of here quickly, because I was actually just looking at Emirates website who we're flying with, and in a week's time they're stopping flights back to New Zealand. So that's pretty scary. We've definitely made the decision to go at the right time.
And especially because New Zealand's a bit harder than most countries to get back to from the UK, because you have to catch 2 plane rides home.
Yeah, or even 3 sometimes.
Yeah, so America shut its borders, and so that was one of the usual routes that we took to get here. Singapore's also closed its borders, China's closed its borders, so it's only Dubai, Qatar,
and that's it.
And that's it. You have to go via those 2 countries out of the usual 5 are the only ones that are open. So if those close, we'd definitely be stuck here.
Yep. And because we're going tomorrow, well, because we're selling our van.
Yeah, Winter the Sprinter is for sale.
Winter the Sprinter is for sale. We are so sad to say goodbye. We put so much love and work into this van. And over the last 2 years that we've been living in it, we've put more and more work into the van. Oh, there's a sheep.
Yeah,
look, there's a sheep.
Some on the side too.
We've just put so much work into it, and my mum's van is also for sale, which we put a lot of work into that van too. So there are 2 vans for sale that you can buy that we have built, and we will leave links below so you can check them out if you're interested in buying a van or want to tell people these vans are for sale. But because we're heading off tomorrow, we do not have time to sell the vans. So thankfully we have a very dear friend who builds vans himself and has a workshop where we actually use to build my mum's van, that he's going to be handling the sale for us and the storage, which is so helpful because
we can just leave it here and go. We don't have to wait for a sale or anything.
Yeah, because if we had to wait for a sale and then like flights stop and we run out of money, and we're also worried about our health. Like, you know, I have terrible health. I like have asthma in one lung, so like this being a respiratory illness as well, like I'm concerned. So we just want to get home, and we've kind of, I feel like, moved past the sadness of our trip ending. I mean, it's all happened so quickly, and we kind of now just want to be back. I think maybe in like a week or 2 we'll feel like just like, oh my gosh, like did we make the right decision? Did we really have to? Did we overreact? Did we take it too seriously? Like, this is too much. So going home just feels like the right thing. If you've been keeping up with like what New Zealand's doing with coronavirus, which you probably haven't, but if you have, you'll have seen foreigners are not allowed into the country anymore, only citizens and residents. And citizens and residents, when they get back, they have to self-isolate for 2 weeks. So that means literally staying at home. You're not allowed to go to the grocery store. You're not allowed to go to work. People aren't allowed to visit you. So
you need to have family members drop off food on the doorstep
and not come anywhere near you. So that's what we're going to be doing, and I think we're going to vlog it because we're going to be so bored.
Catching the plane's going to be interesting. I'm interested to see if it's going to be very busy, if the airport's going to be hectic, or if the airport's going to be really empty.
Yeah, that will be.
So the end of this adventure, and now we're starting on a new adventure.
Yeah. But yeah, that's kind of an update. That's where we've been. I think we'll probably put this vlog out pretty quickly, and then kind of like go backwards with some of our old vlogs, so they'll kind of look out of order. So we'll put in the description when the vlog was filmed. So we've still got some vlogs from France and Belgium and stuff to come from like last September.
It's so late with our videos.
So late. So if they feel out of order, that is why. But thank you for watching our update. How is this all affecting you? What are you doing? Are you still living in your van? Are you still building your van? I hope you're all safe and looking after your health and looking after each other.
What's our next option? That the flight from Dubai to Auckland has been suspended.
We're exhausted. We're off. Thanks for watching our video. If you enjoyed it, please give us a thumbs up and subscribe.